Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Year of the Full Moon. In this episode, we're going to be going back to the Puppet Masters, and we're going to be talking about Puppet Master Axis of Evil, which is the 9th official Puppet Master movie, 10th if you count Demonic Toys, which they do not count in this continuity. So, right off the back, it came out in 2010, and it was kind of like a soft reboot to the thing, because it was a prequel.
Definitely a reboot.
Yeah, because like, it's in the same continuity, but still.
Was around the time reboots were really getting big, too. So it was definitely a way for them to kind of say, like, screw a lot of the last few stuff we did. Let's start new, but still in the same chronology.
Yeah. And, like, another way to look at it is, like, this came 6 years after Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys, which they have nothing to do with. So before then, it was Retro Puppet Master. This came a long time after Retro Puppet Master. They were pretty much... Well, actually,
not
no,
for
sorry.
Me, I just watched
It came a long time after Puppet Master The Legacy. Sorry, that was not a non-movie, so I keep forgetting about it. They decided to go the angle where, kind of like Toulon Revenge, where they pretty much throw Nazis against puppets. And it is, even though this is a prequel... It takes place after Retro Puppet Master and Puppet Master 3 Toulon Revenge.
Definitely not their worst they've done. Like, it's actually probably up from what they were kind of going down. It probably was a little up. Mm-hmm. Definitely not the best. A lot of, like, problem. Like, it wasn't like the third one, which I praised for, like, the accuracy with, like, for a period piece.
It was very accurate, but this one's...
I don't think they had anybody working on the accuracy, because... It takes place in the chronology of the first movie. Well, not chronology. Yeah, like, originally Toulon killed himself in 39, and then, like,
the sequels changed it to, like, 42
or something like that.
This takes place in 1939.
So there's, like, a few minutes of the first movie footage leading up to Toulon just, like, blowing his brains out, which is fun to see again.
Yeah, it was all, like, the pre-credit scene was pretty much mixing a little bit of new scenes in with the original, the original beginning of Puppet Master 1, so that was a good way to, like, kind of pass on the torch, I think, so I did enjoy that.
That's why I was pretty sure it was it's definitely a reboot, solely because that's how it played, like, hey, you really only need to know this part of the first movie.
So I did like that part. I liked the direction they were going as.
Like, it's all like the Germans getting out of the car and all that stuff, but they did some new footage with the Germans because they're a big part in this that are going to go take the stuff. But before we get, like, period-wise, it takes place in 39, and then you start hearing people talking about, like, oh, they're about to ship the boys out over to seas, and the main character's brother's like, oh, I'm shipping out. I hope I go to Japan and not... But no, I'm hoping to go to, like, Germany or not Japan or something like... And I'm like, okay, this is 1939. We weren't even in the war yet. Like, just... So, like, it was just funny. They kept playing off the war's happening, and it was 1939. So the war's not happening.
I think the problem is, unlike Toulon Revenge, they had a smaller budget, and they probably had less time to make it, so... They probably couldn't hire someone to do continuity. They probably just had, like, the set designers tell them, hey, 1939, go.
The main character had polio, and he has a limp. So, and everyone's just horribly mean to him.
How dare you have polio?
But, like, about him, like, you can't go off and fight in the war. You know, that doesn't happen for a few more years. Because, like, you're a coward. No, like, he's got a legitimate medical reason. He limps. It's like,
like, he can't fake his way... into a listing with a limp.
This one guy was like, don't have a limp. Like, I went off to World War I at 15 and lied about my age. You're here, you're staying here being a coward. It's like, no, like, he literally can't, he can't lie about that. He can't, like, just walk. Everyone's horribly
If he can walk normally, then he doesn't have the limp.
Yeah, like, he's horribly, like, treated just for having polio. And it was just like,
how dare he?
I guess in the 30s it was like, you have polio.
So, I would say what Shane said before, this is definitely a step up from definitely Puppet Master Legacy, and also I think Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys.
Yes.
I don't think it's as good as Retro Puppet Master, which I thought was a very interesting highlight of the franchise, but despite the acting being kind of bad and the continuity being off, I still enjoyed it enough. The kills were better than Retro in pretty much all the previous movies.
Kills weren't great though.
No, they weren't amazing.
There was nothing that really particularly ooh, that was actually I like how they did that.
Yeah, we'll get to the kills at the end, but there was at least kills in this movie, and I remember them. They're just not amazing kills.
Will I remember them tomorrow? Trilogy. That's to be decided.
So, Axis of Evil picks up right after Toulon just puts a bullet in his brain.
It was like contemporaneous at the beginning. Like, he's alive, and then they just...
Oh, yeah, they bring back, like, William Hickey. It's just archive footage of him shooting himself in the head. And
I'm glad there's footage of that.
Yes. The Germans, the two Germans that you saw trying to break in his room in the first movie, they're now, like, the main villains in this movie. The plot is also, like, a little ridiculous. The way
plot's kind of just stale.
The Germans are teaming up with, like, this Japanese lady hiding out in Chinatown. And they plan on, like, blowing up a munitions factory now to, like, turn the tide of the war that doesn't exist
There's a
yet
point, because the main character's girlfriend works at the munition factory, and he goes and visits her. There's a point, he just, no security.
Giant bomb right there.
He just walks in, massive bomb, and he's just standing next to it. It's like, why? And then, like, you find out the Germans, like, infiltrating this to blow it up, and it's like, and they're like, this will help us win the war. That's not happening yet. And then, like, but, you know, they say it's happening. It's rough, because then it's just like, I'm going to blow this up. It's like, dude, you didn't even need to, like, spend all the time to infiltrate it. Just walk in. No one's checking you. Just put your bag down with a bomb next to the big bombs and just walk out. That easy.
It is ridiculous. So, what happened, but on the other end of the thing, like, plot-wise, this main character, the kid who has polio, he gets, he was, like, befriended Toulon before and believed the stories about him being, like,
You never actually see them talking, though.
No. But he finds the trunk, gets the puppets out, and
I'm assuming
Toulon
told him about his secret hiding place, because he walks right over to... You know, Toulon just, like, blew his head off, and he heard it, so he walks out, and then the Germans come running out, knock him over, and then he comes in, and then he's just like, oh, Toulon's dead. I'm going to just bogart his puppets, and they're mine now. And it doesn't seem like for a guy that he said he's been talking to, doesn't seem to care that he's dead.
No, not at all.
It was just kind of like...
But he took the puppets.
And then, like, a day later, or a few days later, or whatever, he's at his mom's house, and it's like, oh, this is fresh. Like, this dude just shot himself, and you were just around him, and then...
We're just moving on.
We're just going to keep going.
No, the story's still going. We don't have time for this death. So, pretty much he takes the puppets to try to, like, save the munition factory from destroying. His girlfriend, like we said, works there. They kidnap his girlfriend, and he just kind of, like, gets the puppets to fight his way back.
We told you about the Germans team up with the Japanese girl. She wears the kabuki makeup the entire movie. Like, and she wears, like, traditional robes. It's just, like, for people trying to blend in, like, they didn't do... And then her two non-talking bodyguards look like they just got, like, black martial art gis. And they just stand there like, whoa,
no, yeah, they never say a word.
And then, like, they're not great. I would say they're just like they're typical mindless people that are there for body count.
There's not
only one German's really important.
Speaking of the puppets, they at least do something more than they did with, like, Demonic Toys and the Legacy. Like, I think they had good kills. But talking about the puppets for a moment, Blade, Leech Woman, Pinhead, Tunneler, and Jester, all of, like, the original puppets.
It's funny, when he steals the puppets, you see pieces of Six-Shooter.
Yes, you also see Six-Shooter's arms.
It was like, oh, this is why he got, like, he needed to get fixed.
That's why he wasn't in the first two movies, because apparently his parts were just in the trunk.
Throwaway line. It was,
so maybe they will end up fixing him before, and it just explains where he is. When we get to the sequels to this, because this is part of the Axis trilogy, we'll know more. But Six-Shooter's arms show up. And also in the flashback, you see Shredder Khan, who's a Asian-looking puppet from the first movie that just in the intro. The two other puppets there's a puppet called Gengi, which is, you see it's like an Indian puppet that you see inside of the trunk. And you saw him in the original movie, and you saw him in this movie, but he never does anything. We don't even know if he's alive. And then here's the new puppet, though, they make. Is a puppet called Ninja.
He has a secret compartment that he finds on Toulon's thing, and out comes this ninja doll.
But the ninja doll does not have anyone, like, inside of it yet. So he has his brother, who is very good at sneaking up on people.
Throughout the movie, he just starts sneaking up on people. And after, like, the third time, I'm like, this is going to be important to the plot. And then like
and it was.
And then his brother just gets
after the
killed.
Nazi shoots his brother.
And then he puts his brother in ninja because sneaky.
Yeah. And
he's
like takes him out.
He's like, now your stealthiness can come in handy. And it's like, okay.
Oh, facepalm. So what do you think was the best kill in this movie from the puppets? If you had to pick one.
I would it's not a great kill, but I would have to say the tunneler or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Comes in the guy's on the ground and just goes like in his top of his skull.
Yeah.
The effect
tunneler goes right in the top of his skull.
It was a cool concept, but you could tell they just put tunneler behind his head doing it and just sprayed his head with blood.
But at least it was bloody and you saw it even though it didn't look too convincing. You did see it.
Yeah.
That would have been my favorite kill, but another one I liked is one of the Asian bodyguards is eating sushi. Leech woman drops a leech in it, so he eats the leech, and then he starts to cough up blood and
coughs
just
up, dies. And
it
was just kind of like...
It was a little disgusting, and I think that's why I like it. But yeah, the tunnel might be the best. Ninja also kills someone with a katana, like a giant-sized katana, as well as throwing a ninja star at their eye to injure them. So there was some pretty cool puppet action in it, better than what we've been seeing.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely even though it was definitely not a great movie.
No, not a great movie.
It was definitely up from what they have been. So I mean,
and for a 2010s full moon movie, it did have a pretty decent budget, and it was probably the best of the lot from that era.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
Just
think
not
it was
the best Puppet Master movie.
Yeah, and the problem with Puppet Masters in the recently what we watched has been puppets aren't that important. It seems like
no. And then this one is part of a trilogy. It's called the Axis Trilogy.
So yeah, this we can't judge too great until we see the last one in the trilogy. So I'm assuming because in the end of this movie, well, the main Nazi guy dresses up in a full Adolf Hitler tan uniform, and it's the swastika on his armband's backwards, which is hilarious. But so it's just wait, you're trying to blend in and infiltrate this arms factory, but you came into this country with a full Nazi, this isn't even a regular World War II Nazi uniform. This was a, Adolf Hitler's looking one. And he just puts it on and starts parading around with his Luger looking for the people. And it was just kind of
it was cheesy.
And then he gets killed, and then the Asian lady, the Japanese lady, takes the box.
She steals all the puppets. Except Blade, Ninja, who we assume died, and Pinhead. And that's kind of heavy,
so I don't know how a lady her size was able to pick that up and just be like a silent little mouse.
Assuming Ninja is dead, Blade and Pinhead are the only ones with the good guys at the end. The other puppets have been stolen. So hopefully the sequel, we don't know yet, but hopefully the sequel will continue the storyline very well.
And we'll know when you watch the next one, if what I hope doesn't happen, it's just a thing they mention at the beginning, oh, she took it, but we got it back at this point.
Who knows?
If they do that, that's going to lose me right at the beginning. I can tell you that much.
So I guess you need to come back in 2 weeks when we
If you got this far, you're going to come back.
Yeah, you got to keep coming back. It's Puppet Master X Axis Rising.
I hope they do something with the timeline because it's getting annoying watching the war's happening. No, it's not. It's 1939. He invaded Poland, but the United States isn't involved. That's by far
they won't.
I'm a stickler for that stupid stuff, and that's just such an easy thing to do that they could have had Toulon get killed in 39. 3 years later, and Pearl Harbor just got attacked or something.
Yeah, and maybe you had Sabbath Rapport was the puppets over that period.
Yeah, it was definitely
and it's more personal.
So. I could already tell you I'm going to be complaining about that. So
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Don't let me down, please.